Week 4 of the fantasy football season. Here's top 15 quarterbacks I'm ranking this week. Number 1, Patrick Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs. So Patrick Mahomes, we know he's been having a solid season once again. Not putting up crazy numbers, but still going out there and at least getting 20, 25 fantasy points per week here. So this week, definitely a tough matchup on the road, Sunday Night Football at the New York Jets. But obviously, Patrick Mahomes, matchup proof is Mahomes. It doesn't matter what defense he versus. He's going to go out there and he's going to put up numbers and be a top quarterback each and every week. So right now, even with a tough matchup with the Jets, I think he exploits that defense, finds some open guys in this ball game, and has another good performance. He's won number 2, Jalen Hurts of the Philadelphia Eagles. So the Eagles, they've been coasting so far in the early going this season. 3-0 on the year. The offense is clicking. The defense is starting to get things going on the defensive line and the secondary. And this week here, a good matchup with versus the Washington Commanders coming to Philadelphia. So we know this Commander team, they really can't stop anyone through the air or on the ground. And right now with DeAndre Swift running great, and A.J. Brown back on the same page, and Devonta Smith with Jalen Hurts, I think it's another solid week here for Hurts. And I got him at 2. Number 3, Justin Herbert of the Los Angeles Chargers. So this Charger offense, we knew it was going to be good coming into the end. Herbert, he's been solid so far the first 3 weeks of the season. I know Mike Williams out for the season with the torn ACL, but just next man up, and they got good options. Joshua Palmer and the first-round pick Quentin Johnston now going to step in for Mike Williams. So Keenan Allen, he's been on another level so far this season, coming off a 200-yard performance and on 18 catches. And this week here versus a weak-rated defense, I think once again we see Justin Herbert have a good ball game, and I got him at 3. Number 4, Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills. So Josh Allen here, he's been solid over the last few weeks. After week 1, 4 bad turnovers versus the Jets, and that's just the Jets having Josh Allen's number for whatever reason. But this week here versus the Dolphins, I definitely could see a mini shootout in the AFC East matchup. So Allen, he's pretty much matchup-proof quarterback. We know this Dolphin defense isn't all that great, and this is going to be put points on the board by both teams. So right now, while him and Stephon Diggs are back on the same page this season, and Gabe Davis, he's actually been a touchdown threat so far in the early going. And James Cook solid out of the backfield. I got Allen at 4. Number 5, Tua, the Miami Dolphins. So Tua, he's been in the MVP race right now as the favorite. I know it's only 3 weeks of the season, but this Dolphin offense, like I said, is taking it to the next level, scoring 70 points last week versus the Denver Broncos. Tua and Tyreek Hill could be the most dangerous combination in pro football. And another thing, Jalen Waddle, he didn't even play in that ball game last week, and they still put up those numbers. So Waddle, I know he's still in concussion protocol, but if he does play, that's another added weapon versus solid Buffalo Bill team. So he's a matchup-proof quarterback once again, is Tua. And this week, I think he has a good one. Number 6, Kirk Cousins of the Minnesota Vikings. So Kirk Cousins, contract season, and he's putting up huge numbers with great weapons in Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, and the rookie Jordan Addison. And this week here, I think he's going to have a good ball game once again at the Carolina Panthers that really can't stop anyone. And they have one of the worst defenses, especially with J.C. Horn out. So right now, I think Kirk Cousins, once again, you could expect anywhere from 23 to 30 fantasy points with all those weapons and a great matchup. Number 7, Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens. So last week, the running game bailed out Lamar Jackson. He had over 100 yards rushing and 2 rushing TDs, but not throwing the football well. And this week here, he goes up versus a pretty solid defense, I believe, in the Cleveland Browns. So right now, with Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward manning that defense, and also Zadarius Smith, a solid player on the D, I think it could be a little bit of a tough sledding day for Lamar, but he's got to go back to the basics. He's got to get Mark Andrews involved, and I think he will in this game. And obviously with his running ability, he's always going to be in the top 10. Number 8, Jordan Love of the Green Bay Packers. So quickly, Jordan Love moving up the rankings the first 3 weeks of the season, where he's had 25 fantasy points at least in every ball game so far. So Thursday Night Football game here tonight with the Packers and the Detroit Lions. And this game definitely could be a shootout. We know Thursday nights we don't really see a lot of defense in these ball games. And now Christian Watson possibly could be back in this ball game, but we'll see for sure before game time, because you just never know with Christian Watson. Injuries have been a problem for him so far in his rookie year last year a little bit, and so far this season. But anyway, Jordan Love, he's getting it going with guys like Luke Musgrave in this offense, Romeo Doubs, and Jaden Reed. And right now, if he could get Christian Watson and Aaron Jones back in this ball game, that's a huge plus versus a middle-of-the-pack defense in the Lions. Quarterback's Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals. So Joe Burrow, he's been banged up with the calf issue, but on Monday Night Football, he did make some good throws, and him and Jamar Chase got back on track here together. But Joe Burrow, he still didn't really do anything in that ball game in terms of putting up huge numbers. Just him and Chase were back on the same page, which is a good thing to see. Burrow obviously not 100% right now, but this week at a Tennessee Titan team, that's one of the worst teams versus the pass and wide receivers. I think Burrow still could put in a good performance. Even obviously that he's not 100%, I still think anywhere from 15 to 25 fantasy points minimum you see from Burrow this week. Number 10, Jared Goff of the Detroit Lions. So this definitely could be a shootout this week here at the Green Bay Packers on Thursday Night Football. And Jared Goff's been a solid quarterback over the last few seasons. I know in Los Angeles he did make a Super Bowl, then he fell off a little bit. And now here in Detroit he's putting up big numbers and has a solid team with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, a great weapon, the rookie tight end. He's really making plays. And you got Jahmyr Gibbs out of the backfield. And possibly David Montgomery coming back in this one as well. So right now, in a game with a potential shootout on Thursday night, like I mentioned, a lot of high scoring. I could see Goff having a good one. And I got him at 10, number 11, Brock Purdy of the San Francisco 49ers. So Brock Purdy, he's still flying under the radar in fantasy circles, I believe he is Purdy. But this guy, week in and week out, it's pretty much you pencil him in for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. And this week here versus a weak Arizona defense with no Budda Baker, I think Brock Purdy could have his way in this game. I know this Arizona defense did shut down the Cowboys for the most part, but the Cowboys, they just couldn't convert in the red zone touchdowns. And with this San Francisco team, they find the end zone. And with an offense with Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, I think once again Purdy has a good ball game. And I got him at 11, number 12, Justin Fields of the Chicago Bears. So this week here, it's a good matchup on paper versus the Broncos that just got torched by the Dolphins, giving up 70 points. But right here, this is the last chance for Justin Fields this week. I know last season it took him to week 5 to figure things out. But right now, this year, he was drafted as a top 4 or 5 quarterback in most fantasy leagues, where last season he was on the waiver wire for the first few weeks. So right now, Fields, he's too much in his head, holding on to the football way too long. And we saw that with Fields last season as well, just holding on and not making quick decisions. Him and DJ Moore, the only guys on the same page right now, at least, for the Chicago Bear team. But right now, he's got to get back to the basics, his Fields. He's got to find his running lanes a little bit better, I believe. And he could get right, hopefully, versus Bronco defense. But it wouldn't be surprising to me as well if he has another poor performance like he did versus the Chiefs. And also in that ball game, he did get shaken up, was Fields, but I think he should be ready to go. Number 13, Deshaun Watson of the Cleveland Browns. Of the season, we've seen a mixed bag of results here from Deshaun Watson. Some games he'll have good games, I believe, and some games he'll have a mediocre to poor performance. So this week here versus the Baltimore Ravens, I think he could go out there, put up some decent numbers here as Deshaun Watson. They got a solid offense, even with Nick Chubb out. Jerome Ford so far has looked good. Elijah Moore, they've used in the backfield a little bit. Kareem Hunt back with the team. And also Amari Cooper's been a solid number 1 for this team over the last season and change. David Njoku, though, and Watson aren't on the same page, but in this game, in a grinded out division matchup versus the Ravens, I think Watson won't have a great ball game, but be a serviceable quarterback at 13. 14, Trevor Lawrence of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Trevor Lawrence, another guy like Justin Fields, this might be the last chance here for him to go out there and prove it and put up fantasy numbers. I know last season he was another quarterback, got off to a slow start, and then things started clicking for him week 8 or week 9. And this week, a good matchup in Jacksonville's second home in London with the Atlanta Falcons coming in. So right now, the Falcons defense we know isn't all that great. Jared Goff last week had a solid fantasy day, 22 fantasy points. And if Lawrence could get 20-plus fantasy points, I think that's what you want to see from him. He's got good weapons, Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, if he plays in this game, Evan Ingram, and a solid running back in Travis Etienne. So this week, there should be no excuses, but I'm limiting expectations here for Lawrence. After a lot of bad throws so far, and the play calling hasn't been good either for this Jacksonville team. So right now, while Lawrence has a good matchup, I still got him at 14, lowering expectations, and the 15th and final quarterback I'm ranking this week here is Russell Wilson of the Denver Broncos. So believe it or not, I know this Bronco team's 0-3. I know they don't have anything going where it's going to be another bad season for them most likely. But Russell Wilson's going out there, and he's put up some fantasy points, at least 18 or more fantasy points the first 3 games of the year. And this week at a weak Chicago defense that can't stop anyone. One of the worst defenses in the league. And Russell Wilson and Courtland Sutton have been on the same page. Jerry Jeudy, he's actually coming off an 80-yard performance. And I think this week here, the Bear team will pretty much, if you lose this game and go 0-4, your season's over. We don't really see teams make the playoffs. So right now, with all those factors and a good matchup and Russ actually playing decent in the Sean Payton offense, I got him at 15. So that's the top 15 quarterbacks I'm ranking for week 4 of the fantasy football season.